Hello YouTube, Smurf here. Today we're going to be playing Dagon by H.P. Lovecraft. I've never read the book. I've never read any H.P. Lovecraft books. But today we're going to play the game because it was free. Let's go. Dagon is a faithful interactive adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's work, focused on story and atmosphere. You will not find difficult choices, action sequence, or inventory management here, and movement is limited to progressing through locations along with the plot. Okay, so it's a brainless playthrough story game. I love that.
I am writing this under an appreciable mental strain, since by tonight I shall be no more.
Just click. During the game, you will encounter interactive elements. Some of them will allow you to continue your journey. Others reveal interesting facts about the original short story, its historical background, and the author. Some of the trivia is hidden. In order to find these secrets, focus your eyes and look for the Elder sign. Okay, so right mouse to focus my eyes. I can remember that possibly. I don't walk, it's just a point and click again.
Penniless, and at the end of my supply of the drug which alone makes life endurable, I can bear the torture no longer, and shall cast myself from this garret window into the squalid street below.
Maybe let's not just
Do
go
not
do
think
that,
from my
man.
slavery to morphine that I am a weakling or a degenerate. When you have read these hastily scrawled pages, you may guess, though never fully realize, why it is that I must have forgetfulness or death.
Okay. I think this is a game where I will not be able to talk very much. That's fine. Okay, here we go. Morphine entered into us in the 19th century and was routinely administered to treat severe pain during the American Civil War, 1861 to 1865, and World War I, 1914 to 1918. It was also sold without restrictions until 1914. Nice. Morphine became more popular after the invention of the hypodermic syringe around 1854. Friedrich Serturner, maybe, who first isolated the substance, originally named it morphium, after Morpheus, the Greek god associated with dreams, and the guy from the Matrix. At the time Dagon was published, morphine abuse, known as soldier's disease, already posed a big problem in the United States. Oh, so that's just a quick fact. So that's a real life fact. Yeah, no, there's probably morphine problems going around up here in the States, I'd imagine. Yeah, keep that show trivia, yeah. I want to read all the goodies.
It was in one of the most open and least frequented parts of the broad Pacific that the packet of which I was supercargo fell a victim to the German sea raider.
Oh, it's the SS, or the German boat.
The Great War was then at its very beginning, and the ocean forces of the Hun had not completely sunk to their later degradation.
Okay.
So that our vessel was made a legitimate prize, whilst we of her crew were treated with all the fairness and consideration due us as naval prisoners.
No, so we got captured. Let's get some trivia. Anything on this side? No. Nope, nothing on that side. Let's get some trivias. The Huns were Central Asian nomads who established a dominion in Europe and invaded the Roman Empire in the 5th century AD. They were known as brutal, deadly warriors and masters of quick raids who also developed powerful composite bows, lassos, and early siege weapons. During World War I, the British used the word Hun as a synonym for Germans in order to emphasize their brutality. However, the term originated when the German Emperor Wilhelm II gave a speech to his troops on 27th July 1900, before they embarked to China. Should you encounter the enemy, he will be defeated. No quarter will be given, prisoners will not be taken. Whoever falls into your hands is forfeited, just as 1,000 years ago the Huns under their king Attila made a name for themselves. One that even today makes them seem mighty in history and legend. May the name German be affirmed by you in such a way in China that no Chinese will ever again dare to look cross-eyed at a German. Jeez. The refusal to take prisoners, it was a clear breach of the laws and customs of war adopted during the First Hague Convention of 1899. Oh, that's a little bit insane to me. But you know, back then the Germans did some pretty insane things. For a little bit.
So liberal, indeed, was the discipline of our captors, that 5 days after we were taken, I managed to escape alone in a small boat with water and provisions for a good length of time.
Very nice, very nice.
When I finally found myself adrift and free, I had but little idea of my surroundings. Never a competent navigator, I could only guess vaguely by the sun and stars that I was somewhat south of the equator.
Yes. It's south.
Of the longitude, I knew nothing, and no island or coastline was in sight.
Yeah, bro. We're in the middle of nowhere. Oh my god! Like my freaking AC made a sound and scared the Jesus out of me. This game even nothing bad's happened. What do I click? Oh. The moon. Okay, just the moon.
The weather kept fair, and for uncounted days I drifted aimlessly beneath the scorching sun, waiting either for some passing ship or to be cast on the shores of some habitable land.
Okay. I don't think we're gonna find nothing. I mean, it's clearly been many hours. The moon changed to the sun. Oh yeah, drink some water.
But neither ship nor land appeared, and I began to despair in my solitude upon the heaving vastness of unbroken blue. The change happened whilst I slept.
The change.
Its details I shall never know. For my slumber, though troubled and dream-infested, was continuous.
So many dead squids. Cthulhu didn't do too good on Earth.
When at last I awoke, it was to discover myself half sucked into a slimy expanse of hellish black mire, which extended about me in monotonous undulations as far as I could see, and in which my boat lay grounded some distance away. Though one might well imagine that my first sensation would be of wonder at so prodigious and unexpected a transformation of scenery, I was in reality more horrified than astonished.
Well, why would you be astonished at this? It's just chaos, death.
For there was in the air, and in the rotting soil, a sinister quality which chilled me to the very core.
Yeah, you think you were chilled to the very core? You got a boat capsized over there, attacked by a squid. You have like 5 dead squids right here, and one of them, that one might attack you, dude. Be wary. Or something.
The region was putrid with the carcasses of decaying fish, and of other, less describable things which I saw protruding from the nasty mud of the unending plain. Perhaps I should not hope to convey in mere words the unutterable hideousness that can dwell in absolute silence and barren immensity. There was nothing within hearing and nothing in sight save a vast reach of black slime, yet the very completeness of the stillness and the homogeneity of the landscape oppressed me with a nauseating fear. The sun was blazing down from a sky which seemed to me almost black in its cloudless cruelty, as though reflecting the inky marsh beneath my feet.
Yeah, didn't even notice whatever this thing is. Upside down octopus. It's like a flounder. That's just an alien. I mean, we got the waves not even moving. It's just nothing, man. It's nothing left, man. Okay, now what do I click? What do I click? The boat. The boat. Just the boat. Okay. Ew.
As I crawled into the stranded boat, I realized that only one theory could explain my position.
You walked in this? It's gross, dude. It's very, very gross. You walked in this?
Through some unprecedented volcanic upheaval, a portion of the ocean floor must have been thrown to the surface, exposing regions for which innumerable millions of years had lain hidden under unfathomable watery depths. So great was the extent of the new land which had risen beneath me that I could not detect the faintest noise of the surging ocean, straining my ears as I might. Nor were there any seafowl to prey upon the dead things.
That's gross, man. Why is there 0 people on this boat or anything? Did they sink in before this happened? Okay, we got that fish. I guess I can't click over there. Guess we're going to the fish.
For several hours I sat thinking or brooding in the boat, which lay upon its side and afforded a slight shade as the sun moved across the heavens. As the day progressed, the ground lost some of its stickiness and seemed likely to dry sufficiently for traveling purposes in a short time.
Okay.
That night I slept but little, and the next day I made for myself a pack containing food and water, preparatory to an overland journey in search of the vanished sea and possible rescue.
Okay. And for me, no more talking over this dang guy, man. Let him tell the story. Let him tell the story to us. Yeah. I really hope that my thing is not picking up my washing machine and dryer and washer all going off at the same time in the other room. I really hope it's not picking any of that up. If it is, then I guess I'll be replaying this game. If you heard that, then this is the original. Welcome to you're the OGs. OGs.
On the third morning, I found the soil dry enough to walk upon with ease. The odor of the fish was maddening, but I was too much concerned with graver things to mind so slight an evil, and set out boldly for an unknown goal.
Okay. Let's trudge on.
All day I forged steadily westward, guided by a faraway hummock which rose higher than any other elevation on the rolling desert.
These are not even animals, man. I would not walk on this. Super gross. Okay, so we have a monster. Yep, monster and a whale. It's probably either like some big, huge, scary crab or something. I don't even want to know. Let's keep going.
That night, I encamped, and on the following day still travelled toward the hummock, though that object seemed scarcely nearer than when I had first espied it.
I can't even... What is this? Guys, what is this? I'm banging my mouse right now on my mouse padless desk because what is this? This guy has said nothing about the fact that this is not even animals. I mean, this thing goes all the way from here to back there, and it's humongous back there. So what is this? It's just gross. Is this what is explained in the book? How does he explain this in the book? I guess this way, but it's the way it's reading to me, but it's so gross, man. It's so gross. Keep on moving.
By the fourth evening, I attained the base of the mound, which turned out to be much higher than it had appeared from a distance. An intervening valley setting it out in sharper relief from the general surface. Too weary to ascend, I slept in the shadow of the hill.
Come on, man, you walked here for 4 days. Go climb it. There was something purple right there. Look at that. If I look over here, that glows purple. Some loot, my boy. We gotta get the loot. The loot.
I know not why my dreams were so wild that night. But ere the waning and fantastically gibbous moon had risen far above the eastern plain.
Gibbous? What is a gibbous moon? The gibbous moon is just a regular moon, by the way. In case you were wondering about that, the gibbous moon is just a regular moon.
I was awake in a cold perspiration, determined to sleep no more. Such visions as I had experienced were too much for me to endure again. And in the glow of the moon I saw how unwise I had been to travel by day. Without the glare of the parching sun, my journey would have cost me less energy.
True.
Indeed, I now felt quite able to perform the ascent which had deterred me at sunset. Picking up my pack, I started for the crest of the eminence.
So if I was just a little bit more patient to the next scene, we would have been shown the gibbous moon. Let's get our water and go on up.
I have said that the unbroken monotony of the rolling plain was a source of vague horror to me.
He pooped in this stuff, man. It's gross to me. Having to poop in this is very gross.
But I think my horror was greater when I gained the summit of the mound and looked down the other side into an immeasurable pit or canyon, whose black recesses the moon had not yet soared high enough to illumine. I felt myself on the edge of the world. peering over the rim into a fathomless chaos of eternal night.
Gosh, my nose. The fathomless chaos of eternal night. It's like something I would have written when I was like, I don't know, whatever the age for being cringe is, 12 or 13 or something. You write something like that or whatever, and you're like, yeah. And you like relate to the emo kid, the goth kids in South Park and stuff like that. Yeah. I would have written something like this.
Through my terror ran curious reminiscences of Paradise Lost.
Yeah, that too.
And of Satan's hideous climb through the unfashioned realms of darkness. As the moon climbed higher in the sky, I began to see that the slopes of the valley were not quite so perpendicular as I had imagined.
We're going down into the pit.
Ledges and outcroppings of rock afforded fairly easy footholds for a descent. Whilst after a drop of only a few hundred feet, the declivity became very gradual.
So you're gonna just drop 100 feet? I mean, this stuff. It makes it huge on the other side. 100-foot drop is weird, and it feels like we're looking up instead of down right now. It's kind of trippy. But I guess we're going down the drop.
Urged on by an impulse which I cannot definitely analyze, I scrambled with difficulty down the rocks and stood on the gentler slope beneath, gazing into the Stygian deeps, where no light had yet penetrated.
Whoa. Oh man, sorry. I don't know what Stygian means, but I'm not going to look this one up this time. I don't feel like it.
All at once, my attention was captured by a vast and singular object on the opposite slope, which rose steeply about 100 yards ahead of me. An object that gleamed whitely in the newly bestowed rays of the ascending moon.
God, sorry again, this game has me yawning. Wow, the ascending moon, shining its rays into the 100-foot drop.
That it was merely a gigantic piece of stone, I soon assured myself. But I was conscious of a distinct impression that its contour and position were not altogether the work of nature.
That's one of them obelisks, dude. Don't go near it and don't touch it.
A closer scrutiny filled me with sensations I cannot express.
Yet, what are we doing? Going straight to it?
For despite its enormous magnitude, and its position in an abyss which had yawned at the bottom of the sea since the world was young, I perceived beyond a doubt that the strange object was a well-shaped monolith.
I think obelisk is a better term for some reason. Maybe I'm wrong, I just like that word.
Whose massive bulk had known the workmanship and perhaps the worship of living and thinking creatures. Dazed and frightened, yet not without a certain thrill of the scientist's or archaeologist's delight, I examined my surroundings more closely.
Does that mean we go closer to it? Indeed.
The moon, now near the zenith, shone weirdly and vividly above the towering steeps that hemmed in the chasm.
Oh my god.
And revealed the fact that a far-flung body of water flowed at the bottom, winding out of sight in both directions and almost lapping my feet as I stood on the slope. Across the chasm, the wavelets washed the base of the Cyclopean monolith, on whose surface I could now trace both inscriptions and crude sculptures.
Yeah, there's like a frozen in time demon right here, and some other things floating around, and some turtle, some sea animals. So it's like the water. Oh, I think I get it. This is the regular water where like we swim and stuff. And this is Ocean 2. Ocean 2 is where the mer people live, and the aliens live, and the demons live. Ocean 2. Right? And that's where we are right now, so let's go.
The writing was in a system of hieroglyphics unknown to me and unlike anything I'd ever seen in books. Consisting for the most part of conventionalized aquatic symbols such as fishes, eels, octopi, crustaceans, mollusks, whales, and the like. Several characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown to the modern world, but whose decomposing forms I had observed on the ocean-risen plain. It was the pictorial carving, however, that did most to hold me spellbound.
Let's see what this says. Dagon contains many themes and storytelling methods that Lovecraft developed in his later works, such as telling the story through carvings at the Mountains of Madness, the Nameless City, journals and characters' notes, the Shadow, Out of Time, the Haunter of the Dark, islands emerging from the ocean, the Call of Cthulhu, or fictional beings and entities based on real events and mythologies, Migo and the Whisperer in Darkness. It's also considered the origin of the popular Cthulhu mythos. Some of Lovecraft's other stories also conclude in a manner similar to Dagon, but let's skip the details in order not to spoil the ending. Yes, let's not spoil the ending here. Now, down we go for learning about whatever's below Ocean 1.
Plainly visible across the intervening water, on account of their enormous size, were an array of bas-reliefs whose subjects would have excited the envy of a Doré. I think that these things were supposed to depict men, at least a certain sort of men.
Mer people.
Though the creatures were shown disporting like fishes in the waters of some marine grotto, or paying homage at some monolithic shrine which appeared to be under the waves as well.
Obelisk. Gosh.
Of their faces and forms I dare not speak in detail, for the mere remembrance makes me grow faint, grotesque beyond the imagination of a Poe or a Bulwer.
Yeah, is that the faces? Those are terrifying things. I don't want to see one of those in this game.
They were damnably human in general outline, despite webbed hands and feet, shockingly wide and flabby lips, glassy, bulging eyes, and other features less pleasant to recall. Curiously enough, they seem to have been chiseled badly out of proportion with their scenic background. For one of the creatures was shown in the act of killing a whale, represented as but little larger than himself.
Oh, so that's not a full body, it's the faces and the whales, and I thought it was like a body of a full person after. Oh, the mind and the eyes are a crazy thing.
I remarked, as I say, their grotesqueness and strange size, but in a moment decided that they were merely the imaginary gods of some primitive fishing or seafaring tribe.
Oh.
Some tribe whose last descendant had perished eras before the first ancestor of the Piltdown or Neanderthal man was born.
Yeah, whatever is gonna help you sleep after you get out of this night. You should have just stayed kidnapped, dude. This is horrible.
Awestruck at this unexpected glimpse into a past beyond the conception of the most daring anthropologist, I stood musing whilst the moon cast queer reflections on the silent channel before me.
What?
Then, suddenly, I saw it.
What did we saw? Oh. Something in the water.
With only a slight churning to mark its rise to the surface, the thing slid into view above the dark waters. Loathsome, it darted like a stupendous monster of nightmares to the monolith.
Apologies for interrupting here, but I was not expecting that.
About which it flung its gigantic scaly arms, while it bowed its hideous head and gave vent to certain measured sounds. I think I went mad then.
I would too, man. I would too. I would have also went mad then.
Of my frantic ascent of the slope and cliff, and of my delirious journey back to the stranded boat, I remember little.
Oh, it's actually wet again. Run!
I believe I sang a great deal and laughed oddly when I was unable to sing. I have indistinct recollections of a great storm sometime after I reached the boat. At any rate, I know that I heard pearls of thunder and other tones which nature utters only in her wildest moods. When I came out of the shadows, I was in a San Francisco hospital. Brought thither by the captain of the American ship which had picked up my boat in mid-ocean. In my delirium, I had said much, but found that my words had been given scant attention. Of any land upheaval in the Pacific, my rescuers knew nothing.
Whew. It was all just a crazy, probably heat stroke-induced nightmare. Nothing bad can possibly happen now. I hope, maybe?
Nor did I deem it necessary to insist upon a thing which I knew they could not believe.
Oh, it's a lot. Lovecraft was a prominent figure in the world of amateur journalism in 1915. He started publishing his own journal called The Conservative, which included political and social commentary, poetry, short stories, and literary criticism, written by him and other authors. Oh my gosh. Howard was a skilled wordsmith, but he also took criticisms to heart, which resulted in his decision to step away from writing poetry and concentrate on weird fiction again. For the first time since his teenage years, Dagon, published in 1919, is one of the short stories written during that period. In this excerpt from The Conservative, the master of horror fiction explains his attitude towards warfare and the idea of world peace. Why any sane human being can't believe in the possibility of universal peace is more than the Conservative can fathom. Should the entire civilized world agree simultaneously to disarm one or more nations, would undoubtedly retain secret armaments, and at the proper time take advantage of their more altruistic and less astute contemporaries in a wild career of conquest, against unarmed victims. No country is or ever can be above warfare until the basic impulses of the human animal shall have miraculously changed. Facts. That's crazy. I didn't know he was a journalist. I thought he just wrote stuff. I thought he just wrote books, to be honest. Scary books. I wasn't even so sure his books were like scary. I thought they were just gonna be like some dark romance type thing or whatever. But I guess they're pretty wild considering the game I've just played or am playing currently.
Once I sought out a celebrated ethnologist and amused him with peculiar questions regarding the ancient Philistine legend of Dagon, the fish god.
Oh, Dagon's a fish god. Dagon was the main deity of the Philistines, worshipped throughout the Middle East as the ancient god of fertility and crops. In Hebrew, the word Dagon was a common noun for grain. The rulers of Akkad, Mesopotamia, chose him as the patron saint of their war conquests. He also appeared as the judge of the dead in the Assyrian poem and underworld prison warder in one of the Babylonian texts. He is often mistakenly taken for a fish god due to the wrong interpretation of his name, as in Hebrew the word dag means fish. In H.P. Lovecraft's work, Dagon is an underwater deity ruling over the deep ones, a humanoid race with fish traits that resides in the oceans. He is worshipped by a secret cult called the Esoteric Order of Dagon. That's cool. I love weird esoteric stuff, so that's really cool information, and I like that a lot. Very much a lot, actually. Thank you for putting that little tidbit in the game. I like this game about 10 times more now just because of that, to be honest. Onward.
But soon perceiving that he was hopelessly conventional, I did not press my inquiries.
Oh, I can... Weird. I'm gonna read the Necronomicon. I have a copy of the Necronomicon, actually. Cough, cough. It's probably like doctored, though. It's probably not like the OG thing, but I do have one. August Derleth and the Cthulhu Mythos. August Derleth was an American writer and anthologist. He also befriended Lovecraft and published many of his works through his company, Arkham House. Although he greatly contributed to the popularization of the author's works after his death, he is surrounded by numerous controversies. One of his most questionable decisions involved introducing the good versus evil doctrine. Derleth was a devout Catholic to the Cthulhu mythos, which contrasted with Lovecraft's view of the world and his approach to cosmic horror. As a result, the author's works are often misunderstood and misrepresented in today's culture. It is also worth noting that Lovecraft was never really interested in creating a mythology, and the term Cthulhu mythos was coined by Derleth after the author left the mortal plane. Okay. Cool little tidbit. Let's go over here and see what we have got. I was like, there can't be nothing there. There cannot be nothing there. The scientist. These days, the word scientist is a widely accepted term, but at the time Dagon was published, it was subject to a wide debate. After the author used it in the story, critics pointed out that man of science was a more appropriate term to employ. He admitted, in defense of Dagon, that if Dagon were to be represented, he would indeed use the phrase they suggested. Scientist was coined as an analog to artist, to be used when referring to those studying different branches of science. Yet, in the 19th century and early 20th century, scientific researchers in Great Britain and in the United States were of the opinion that man of science, resembling the term man of letters, was the only proper choice, among other things. It was gender-specific, indicating that science was an endeavor to be pursued by only one sex. The term scientist became more accepted only after World War II, and man of science started fading into obscurity as an old-fashioned synonym. Okay, makes sense. Gosh, reading this stuff is making me like, my brain's like, geez man, we haven't read this much in forever. I don't read much more than subtitles these days.
It is at night, especially when the moon is gibbous and waning, that I see the thing.
Gibbous.
I tried morphine,
Yes, sir.
but the drug has given only transient surcease and has drawn me into its clutches as a hopeless slave. So now I am to end it all, having written a full account for the information or the contemptuous amusement of my fellow men.
Oh my gosh. Well, before we do that, let's get a little tidbit over here. Lovecraft on tobacco and alcohol. Oh, let's see what my guy was on to. Never mind. First sentence. Lovecraft hated tobacco, even though he used to smoke when he was 12. Dang. In order to look and feel like an adult. In his correspondence with friend Reinhard Kleiner, he claims that he quit as soon as he started wearing long pants. What does that mean? He also had a very strong opinion about alcohol, as evidenced by his letter to Zalia Brown, dated 13th February 1928. As for the matter of drinking, I have never tasted intoxicating liquor and never intend to, having a strong aesthetic disgust at anything which blunts or coarsens the delicate natural equipoise of the evolved human intellect and imagination. Drinking excited my personal repugnance, hence I don't drink. Let the herd do what they will. I am rather in favor of prohibition. The prohibition of any one antisocial force as well as any other. Source: The Spirit of Revision, Lovecraft's letter to Zalia Brown, Reed Bishop, H.P. Lovecraft, Sean Branney, and Andrew Leman, S.T. Joshi. Probably not. It's probably not Joshi, Joshi. I don't even know. I don't know. Who cares? Not me. We're about to morphine it up.
Often, I ask myself if it could not all have been a pure phantasm, a mere freak of fever, as I lay sun-stricken and raving in the open boat after my escape from the German man-of-war. This I ask myself, but ever does there come before me a hideously vivid vision in reply. I cannot think of the deep sea without shuddering at the nameless things that may at this very moment be crawling and floundering on its slimy bed, worshipping their ancient stone idols and carving their own detestable likenesses on submarine obelisks of water-soaked granite. I dream of a day when they may rise above the billows to drag down into their reeking talons the remnants of puny, war-exhausted mankind. Of a day when the land shall sink and the dark ocean shall ascend amidst universal pandemonium. The end is near. I hear a noise at the door, as of some immense slippery body lumbering against it. It shall not find me.
You don't got much where to hide.
God, that hand!
Under the bed!
The window! The window!
The window? That was just a picture. The window! No. What if I don't? Okay. The window. That was so good. That game was so good. The story was told so amazingly. Oh my gosh. Well, at least the underwater people attack New York first. I'm not in New York, so that's fine. That's crazy. I love the ocean. This game would be bad for you if you had a fear of the ocean, or body of water, that is, any body of water. If you have that fear and you watch this, my apologies, man. But anyways, that's gonna be it. Once again, you're gonna see a raw and unedited video because I am too dumb to do it. So I hope you enjoy. I tried to make minimal mistakes in this video. I'll see you in the next one. It might be next week, it might be tomorrow if I feel like it. We'll see. It might be one of these 3 games down here. You never know, because I did like this. But yeah, thank you for watching. If you watched, thank you for liking if you liked, and have a good day. See ya.